I was given a link to a video on a course in consciousness, which is the guy was pretty good. I think there was 4 videos. He's just a tad off and still missing an awful lot of information, but the guy's onto the right track. At least he's saying the same things I'm saying. Little different explanation, but basically it's the same thing. So I take a look and have a look at it. But while we're looking at consciousness, I wanted to, because basically it's consciousness is a matter of being aware of how you affect your world and how um, I'll try not to get into too deep, but regarding our economic system, there's one guy that hovers around my channel called Canadian Taxpayer who's been, bitching at me that there's some kind of reason that I am and people like me on a welfare system are the cause of why our economic system isn't functioning correctly. As you see a lot of people lose their jobs in the States and lose their homes, there's something a little off. Not that many people can be wrong and lose their shit. Something's wrong with the game. And until you walk a mile in my shoes, you don't know what the game is. But generally, anybody that's played the game that I've had to play, you lose your mind. And typically, where you find people that have this kind of experience are usually homeless or on the street. It takes an awful lot, um, sort of an awareness and drive and strength and information. It took an awful lot for me not to be on the streets and to be healthy and to be able to have healed from a lot of the effects of what I experienced. But this is what Canadian taxpayer should be aware of. And I found some interesting documentation. This is a bankruptcy from my ex-husband. Now, it was a total of $77,000. Now, the guy made $80,000, and the majority of it was our mortgage, which was $62,000 was on our mortgage. But there was bank loans, just he pocketed an awful lot of money from the bank and then said, "Oops, didn't want to pay." And they were like Star Choice, Telus, his legal bills that he used against me. He didn't even have to pay for it. He claimed bankruptcy on his lawyer. But anyways, um, what a lot of people do, this is the majority of people, this is what divorce is all about. This is where poverty is created, is through divorces. And then we fuck up our children in the process. But this guy just didn't want to be financially responsible for nothing. He wasn't being a good, responsible parent when I lived with him. Didn't make any sense that he was going to do it after I left. But I had no idea that the level of abuse sort of escalated. And not only did he not want me to be successful, like he didn't want me working, he harassed, he did as much harm as this man could do to another human being to make sure that they don't live. And that's what a lot of abusive people do. But you don't know what they're doing because it's all legal. And this is one of his little tricks, is he could more than afford to pay his bills. He just chose not to. He chose to go on a little vacation and quit his job. And then a month later, he claimed bankruptcy. And then the true intention, his wife, which, you don't have to be pissed off at men and think it's, oh, all of these husbands are bad. No, this was a woman. This was somebody that my husband met over the internet, moved in right away, and then married. But she was after his money. And what is she saying? She's bragging about what they're doing to me. And somebody sent me a copy of the same email, and I know that this is coming from her. I have proof, but this is right from the beginning. Here is an enlightening thing. It is not Martin in financial trouble or any kind of trouble. Judy will now be feeling what it's like to have debt. Do the crime, do the time. She will learn the meaning of that very, very soon if she hasn't already. And then laugh out loud, oh my God, or whatever. Judy now owns the company and all the debts. Kind of cool how the tables turn. Oh, but that has nothing to do with the comment, do the crime, do the time. You and or she worry about the true meaning. So basically what they had done is he committed corporate fraud, and then filed off on the company, putting it all in my name so that I would have to own up to all of his income tax responsibilities. Every single thing that this man did, I am now legally responsible for financially. And where do the kids live? With me. The man, there's not one legal document where this man even tried to get custody of any of his children. We are not talking about a man that, oh, your wife is crazy, she shouldn't have the kids. No, he wanted his children away from me and into foster care, which my children don't know about. But he did an awful lot to just try and get my kids away from me. A lot of lies. Anyways, then to that taxpayer that 1 year, well, he claims, here's another affidavit that I found, and this is really cool, and he's done it an awful lot of times in our corporate world. See, it's a affidavit. I'll go quickly so it doesn't have his name and stuff on there, but he describes in his affidavit how much he makes per year and what year that he's talking about, and like he's making over 80 grand, but yet he filed his income tax at 32. Plus, he was not a contractor, he was an employee, so he couldn't even file his income tax through a corporation. That was the fraud. But he used a corporation to make them think that that's where his income was coming from, but it came from an oil company that he was an employee of. And so this man didn't have to pay a dime of his income tax. So not only did he get away with all of the stuff that's posted on his bankruptcy, there is nothing in this document, which I had to get a copy of, because all of these debts are now in my name. All family, bank loans, the mortgage, every single thing that this man put a debt into that had both our names in are now in my name. So not only did he not want to pay his child support, he put all the friggin' debt on my name, and then went to court without serving me and lied about where the kids live and got court orders where I had to pay him child support and the kids live with me. Now, try and wrap your brain around that reality. This is our court systems. Every friggin' judge in Calgary is more than aware of how much crime this guy has done. They've all seen a copy of these files. He has gone in and out. They don't know me. They've seen him walk in and out of those courtrooms without me showing up, because he's done this a ton of times. And then that's when I kind of lost my mind. It took me 4 friggin' years to stop the man from doing what he was doing, and then I found out I got punished. I had to pay advanced child support for the child who lived with me until she turned of age, for over 2 years, which had to come off of all of the past support that he didn't pay. He got to keep any money that they did agree that they did pay me, and the only other money that they gave was the attorney that worked for me, who didn't fucking represent me. She's legal aid, didn't say nothing, but she got her $10,000 income is all she was concerned about. So it's basically, 4 kids, 20-year marriage, Zippo child support, no expenses paid, and all the debt is in my name. This man lives in a $300,000 house that was a gift that was given to him by a corporation, who said that the house wasn't his, it was actually the corporation's, but they're going to give him as a gift. But this man doesn't have to pay income tax on that. He also doesn't have to report his true income because his company is doing everything in their power. This is stated under oath. My ex-husband, under oath, said my employer didn't like paying his support, so he's doing everything in his power to help me out. So basically, that's kind of why his income is so much lower than during the boom. There was a big boom going on in Calgary. Everybody's income was high. Well, his was miraculously so much lower than like, oh, 5 years ago in a depression. So, and needless to say, he doesn't have to pay his income tax on that because Revenue Canada doesn't even let you know on any forms that they didn't. How I find out from Revenue Canada is I need forms that say this is what my husband's income tax is. So I need to see copies of everything he makes. So if there is none, then I know Revenue Canada is not doing their job. Or whenever I do see copies of it and I see, wait a minute, that is not exactly the same thing he's claiming in his affidavits. But Revenue Canada, when you bug them and bug them and bug them enough, they don't know that they end up giving you information that some employee slips out by accident because you're being a big pain in the ass. But what I ended up finding out is Revenue Canada has a cost-effective rule. If it's not cost-effective for them to go and take your money, then they don't bother going after it. So that's why a lot of these really, really wealthy people don't have to pay their income tax. They hide their money in different countries. They manipulate it, exactly like these deadbeats do. These deadbeats that aren't supporting their children aren't like they're bums on the street. No, these are big, huge executives. These are guys that work in the oil field. These are guys that make really, really good money. That the economic system needs him to be making that much money because instead of buying food that the kids need to eat, and paying rent that the kids need to have, he gets to buy a bigger truck and keep his quads and buy a bigger house and all more expensive items that the economic system needs to be able to sell. If all of these fathers were actually supporting their children, they can't afford to buy all of this extra stuff. So, and all of this stuff keeps the economic system going. The government knows about it, so that's why the government supports crime. So, and when you want to know why people are homeless and you see somebody that's suffering on the street, trust, whether they're male or female. They've gone through some kind of crime, and that's what we need to be consciously aware of. If you've got a lot of money in your house, if you can afford to eat better than anybody else out there, then there's something wrong and you should be paying attention to that. Never take anything that you've got for granted, and if somebody's doing without, do what you can to help them out, because ultimately it's like a game of dominoes. Eventually that last domino is you. And that's when we didn't pass the test, and we're only in a window to evolve and gain our awareness. Otherwise we're basically killing ourselves. We're like committing suicide, but we're not consciously aware that that's what we're doing to ourselves. Peace out.